While we wait these 30 seconds, say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're logging in from. Amazing. Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the town hall. My name is Gabby and I am stepping in for Miles today. As always, we have our disclaimer here and we are live streaming on YouTube. The recording will be available there once we wrap up as well. We'll start with our product updates before diving into the Q&A section. And we're going to kick things off with Kelsey to talk about connectivity.
Thanks, Gabby. Hi, everyone. I wanted to start today with kind of a high-level slide to start. So I want to give some perspective on the why around what we're focused on with the connectivity team. So at the beginning of the year, we announced our initiative to become a top PMS provider. And a key part of achieving that goal is really taking over full listing management. So our vision is to deepen our integration so that Hospitable becomes the single place where you manage and distribute your listing content across all of your connected platforms. So over the next quarter, we're really going to be taking steps toward that vision by making Hospitable the source of truth for your listing details. So what this means is that changes that you would make in Hospitable, whether it's updating your property description, photos, and other listing details, those will automatically sync across your connected channels. So the goal here as part of that larger initiative is to save you time and effort by eliminating the need to manually update each platform separately. So while we're not there yet, as part of our larger initiative, sorry, Gabby, can you go back to that previous slide? Yeah. As part of our larger initiative, it's to save you time. While we're not there, we are going to be starting with a key area, and that's fees. So this includes your cleaning, linen, pet, and other listing level fees. And with this, we'll also introduce two-way syncing. So that means that any fees updated within Hospitable will push directly to Airbnb. And while no longer necessary, any fee edits made in Airbnb would also sync back to Hospitable. To support this, we know that we first need to expand the fee options available in Hospitable to align with, more closely with what Airbnb offers today. And I will get to that shortly. But as we begin introducing these updates, we'll be clearly communicating any changes. You'll see updated instructions on your property pages in Hospitable. And specifically with fees, you can expect updates from your pricing pages, with the goal being that this is very clear, where this information is syncing to. This will take a little bit of time, but we are excited really to get to a place where you no longer have to wonder which channels are being updated with information from Hospitable. And again, that ultimate North Star is to create a seamless experience where you have a consistent expectation for managing your listing details across all channels. So to support this transition, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be introducing more flexible fee configurations. So let's go over what's coming next. Great. So today, Hospitable offers a limited set of fee configurations. To better support you and ensure parity with Airbnb, we are going to be expanding this and providing you with more options so you have more flexibility in how these fees are applied. So the new fee configurations that we're planning to support are the per night, the per person, and the per person or per pet per night fees. Today, we really have the per stay and then the percentage per stay fee configuration. So we'll be, again, adding and expanding on that. So once we support these fee configurations, we can more confidently incorporate that two-way sync for those values, as they will match with what you have in Airbnb today if you are using any of those per night or per person fee structures. In addition to that, we're also going to be introducing two new discount types. That's the early bird discount, which rewards guests for booking well in advance, up to 2 years in advance. And then the last minute discount, which is adjusting pricing for bookings made closer to that check-in date. fairly self-explanatory there. But these discounts currently exist in Airbnb at the listing level. If you have them applied today or created, I should say, at the listing level in Airbnb today, we will import them from Airbnb for you, so you don't have to recreate them. These will be, as I mentioned, listing level control, so they'll apply across all dates on the calendar for that listing. We know that you may want more granularity than that when it comes to applying those discounts and maybe any other pricing and availability settings, but that's where rule sets come in. So just want to provide an update on rule sets as well. So I briefly introduced rule sets the last town hall, so a couple weeks ago. Since then, development has begun, primarily with a focus on the backend work, so importing and storing the existing rule sets that you might already have created in Airbnb so that you can use those within your Hospitable account, applying those to the calendar, again, not having to completely recreate them. We're still working through the UI updates and how rule sets will interact with the calendar, and we're really carefully considering this to ensure that there's a seamless and really intuitive calendar experience overall. So again, if you're not familiar with the rule sets in Airbnb, this is an existing feature that Airbnb supports. It allows you to apply your pricing and availability settings to specific dates and date ranges on the calendar. So you can get more granular than those listing level discounts, as I mentioned earlier. So with rule sets in Hospitable, the plan is you'll for the specified date or date range, you'll be able to adjust the price, increase or decrease that price by a percentage amount, and or set some availability settings, so adjusting minimum or maximum night stay, as well as restricting your check-in and checkout by day of the week. And then eventually these will incorporate those discounts as well, the early bird and the last minute after that. So this will give you more control over your calendar directly in Hospitable. So again, reinforcing our goal of making Hospitable the single place where you manage all updates to your listings. That's it for connectivity, and on to Abby with Direct.
Thanks, Kelsey. So first, for direct, we are going to be expanding the states and local jurisdictions where we collect and remit taxes for direct premium. We've mentioned this before, but this is a big priority for us this year. And Brandon, our accountant in residence, is going to be leading the charge here. So the next states that we're going to be looking at registering and remitting for are Alabama, Vermont, Hawaii, Utah, and New Jersey. But really, our goal is to be able to cover all 50 states in the long term. So we're going to be talking about this a lot more in the coming weeks and months. I'm already seeing questions in the chat about when is my state coming? We will share any and all updates that we have on when you can expect certain states. There are certain states and jurisdictions where registering and remitting is a bit more challenging. So we'll be sharing a lot more about this in the coming weeks and months, as I said, but we wanted to give you a sneak peek of what states are next up on our list and what to expect there. Next for direct, we are going to be launching a new version of guest verification. I announced this on our town hall last time, but in case you missed it, I'll just share a little more context on why we're doing this. We heard tons of feedback that this experience needs to be better for guests. It wasn't the current experience for guest verification is not necessarily intuitive, and it's sometimes something that your guest gets stuck on, and we don't want guest verification to prevent any guests from booking your property. On top of that, the process that we have for manually reviewing guest verification by our support team, which is intended to give you an extra layer of protection from chargebacks and fraud, can sometimes be a bit of a pain. And sometimes you're waiting too long for our support team to review and approve your guests. On top of that, a lot of guests were getting sent to manual review when they didn't need to be. For example, if the ID barcode couldn't be read. So in many cases, that review wasn't necessary. So to help improve this experience for you and your guests, we are going to be partnering with a new cutting-edge identity verification platform, which should provide a much smoother guest experience and help eliminate or decrease the errors that happen that lead to guest verification needing to be reviewed. And we're also only going to manually review the highest risk reservations or reservations where there is potential for fraud or chargebacks that we need to protect you from as the merchant of record. Everything else can kind of be up to you to decide whether you want to accept that reservation based on your own risk tolerance. Like I said, we talked about this as coming last time in the last town hall. It is still in progress. We're spending a little more time on here because this is so critical for direct premium bookings. But we will be slowly rolling out the new guest verification workflow sometime over probably the next week or two. So look out for that. And we're excited about this because it should be a much smoother experience for you and your guests, but it also opens some more opportunities in the future to give you a little more control, like I said, over the risk that your risk, your own individual risk tolerance, to give you some more control over things like instant book, for example. So coming soon. And then next, we are also working on optimizing our booking flow to help capture more conversions. And we're doing that in a couple of different ways. So we are going to be personalizing the booking flow and helping to build trust with your prospective guests by adding your logo into the booking flow, adding reviews or your aggregate review score to build trust, as well as information about you as a host, how long you've been hosting. And we are also going to be doing things like emphasizing payment terms and flexible cancellation policies, things that help guests convert and book. And we're also going to make it a lot faster for guests that pay with Apple Pay and Google Pay to book. We're all used to the express checkout workflow when we're all doing our online shopping in all the other places. And so we want to do the same with the direct booking flow. And then finally, we are making some really good progress with security deposits. So we are going to help automate the authorization, collection, and management of security deposits, giving you an extra layer of damage protection and insurance. We're going to be starting with direct premium with a longer term goal of supporting security deposits for all bookings. And we are going to be announcing our private pilot soon for direct premium. So more to come there, but we wanted to give a progress update here, but this is coming very soon. And next is Emily with Mogul.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Abby. I will start with a small update. This is just the beginning of this work. Excuse this random rectangle in here. I realized 2 seconds ago that my personal address is on there, so I blocked it off. We now allow you to customize some aspects of a statement or an invoice that you've created for your owner. We've started with some really small things, so I understand that this does not come close to satisfying all of the requests that we've heard from our owners. But you can now define like what's in the headline, whether or not you want to show the property name or the property address, and you can show or hide a couple of columns. The ones that we've started with were the reservation code and the guest first name and full name. So you can choose how that's displayed to your owner. We heard from a lot of people that owners really don't know anything about the reservation codes and don't care, but they might have had an interaction with guests and be able to recognize them by their first name. And so there was a preference to show that maybe instead of the code. And now that we have this out, we are starting on the next batch of customizations where you can show hide individual reservation fees. So right now we sum up all the reservation fees in a single column, but we don't allow you to kind of break them up individually. We've heard a ton of feedback from you guys that you'd love to be able to see the cleaning fee specifically or the pet fee specifically. And so the next batch of customizations we're going to be releasing is going to be focused on showing and hiding those granular reservation fees, if that's something that you want to expose to the owners who you're sharing those statements with. So we've heard your feedback. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We definitely started in a place that was pretty restricted, and we're now taking baby steps towards giving you a lot more control over what the data actually looks like. And eventually we'll be giving you control over what it actually looks like too, throwing your logo on there,
picking some colors, maybe choosing from a couple different templates. So really we've kind of started on that journey so that this statement can really feel like yours, something that you designed and owned, and something that really showcases your brand to your owners, the ones who pay you. Next, on the Mogul side, so we really started with a bunch of features that were intended for property managers, people who are managing on behalf of other owners. That's why we started with owner statements. But we've seen something super interesting since we launched. We have seen a lot of owners and self-managers upgrade to Mogul and hack their way through a setup to basically create what amounts to a profit and loss statement. So they're not using owner statements, but they're taking advantage of that functionality and putting in their mortgage, putting in their rent, putting in their utility bills, and using those calculations to create what amounts to a profit and loss. But the process to get there is frankly quite hacky because we didn't design it for owners, we designed it for managers who it makes a lot more sense for. And so we've decided that now is kind of the time to think with 3 different main business models in mind. And those business models are managers, people managing for others, owners, you own your property and you manage it yourself, and people renting properties and subletting it out or doing rental arbitrage. Mogul is really for anyone that's building a scalable business in the short-term rental industry. And there are so many of you that are not just doing one of these things, but you're doing a little bit of everything, or maybe you're doing 2 of these things. In fact, we have some employees on this call who do all of these things and more. And so we really need to start thinking about like what features are we offering you that's going to be specific for your business model and take all of that into account. So we have already started thinking about what it looks like to give Mogul to owners. So on the next slide, I'm talking about this work that's in progress. We're starting with accounting recommendations specifically for people who own and manage their own properties. Our current accounting recommendations are intended for property managers who are needing to share their revenue with owners. But the accounting recommendations for owners are going to be really different. And we want to make sure that you're aware of and taking advantage of tax benefits that are available to you. And so we've been working very closely with Brandon, our accounting in residence, who's created these accounting recommendations with all of that stuff in mind so that you as an owner can set things up in the best way that supports your specific business model. Now, we've also heard from a lot of people that, QuickBooks is great, but I don't use an accounting software. Well, the good news is we have all the pieces to be able to offer you a simple accounting solution, whether you use QuickBooks or not. So we're also going to be taking steps towards allowing you to do accounting even without connecting QuickBooks or another accounting software. So this means that even for owners, being able to manage their expenses within Hospitable, you can always do that manually, but that could get quite cumbersome if you have a lot of properties. So we'll be supporting CSV import. We'll eventually, in the pretty near future, be supporting bank account connection as well, so that you can pull those expenses in and categorize them appropriately. And that's going to result in a profit and loss statement in Hospitable without you needing to have to connect your accounting software or needing to purchase an accounting software. So our goal is really to centralize a lot of your internal business operations and make Hospitable the place where you're really running those parts of your business. But the thing that I'm probably most excited about, and this might be the nerd in me, is that we are going to be able to use all the information that we're learning from you guys about your businesses to help customize metrics based on your specific business model. So the metrics product within Hospitable has a new owner. It's the Mogul team, and we're going to be really thinking about what do each of you need for metrics depending on how you run your business? What do owners need to see in metrics? What do managers need to see in metrics? And we're going to be really giving you the option to view those metrics with your business model in mind and your revenue with your cost in mind. So that might be being able to filter out your cleaning fee, see the revenue minus the cleaning fee, or input even more granular cost than that, like your mortgage and whatnot. And also being able to view your metrics with different revenue recognition options in mind. Right now, we base everything in metrics off of the check-in date, but for those of you who are on Mogul now, you know that you can actually define your revenue recognition and do it prorated if you like. And so we'll be allowing that on metrics as well, so that you can get the full suite of information that we offer viewed in the context of the revenue recognition that you are using for your specific business. So that work is in progress now, and we're hoping for a big update in the next town hall. And then on to a quick update from the core side for me before I pass it on. Zapier, we shared this in our last town hall. We are now in the process with Zapier of getting our app approved to be published in the Zapier marketplace. So it's in a limited release, and our next step is to invite you, if you'd like, to participate in the beta. Zapier basically needs to see a host using this and finding success with it. And once they're confident, they will approve it and make it available to everyone. So I've already notified the 120 something of you that had previously upvoted Zapier and asked for your Zapier email, because we have to invite you on your Zapier email specifically. If you hadn't upvoted Zapier before and you'd like to participate in the limited release, just go ahead to that QR code, that link, upvote Zapier, and you'll see a comment from me with a link to give your Zapier email, and we will get you invited so you can check it out. If you're not interested in trying it out before it's officially live, that's fine too. I would still encourage you to upvote it so that you're actually notified when it is available for all of our customers. And the cool thing about moving forward with the Zapier integration is that as a result, we did all these new webhooks. So that's cool too. For the longest time, we really just had reservation webhooks in our UI. But now from within our UI, whether you use Zapier or not, you can also configure property webhooks, messaging webhooks, which are now live, and reviews webhooks, which are now live for everyone. So if you don't use Zapier, or if you use some other tool like it, you can still get this data out of Hospitable using webhooks. Now I'll pass it off to Nick.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone. We did some work on the inbox. We knew, and you knew, if you were a customer with a large portfolio, that sometimes the inbox could take quite a while to load for you. So we put in quite a bit of effort to speed things up. And yeah, we were seeing at the worst times, some of you with up to 15 seconds having to wait for the inbox to load before being able to do anything. We've brought that down significantly. Still not ideal, but like for the most part, for the vast majority of cases, it should take no more than 3 seconds. And again, in most cases, way less than a second to load the inbox now. And we're working on a few more improvements that should hopefully speed up the entire app, which will matter particularly for those of you who will be using the app on your mobile phone rather than the desktop, because that can be a particularly kind of painful experience if things slow down. So look forward to some more improvements in the coming week or two. Small caveat: you might have felt the inbox slow within the last hour. We deployed something that was unintentionally slowing things down, unrelated to the thing that I just talked about. I think we just fixed it. So bad timing. Sorry for that. Next, let's talk a little bit about upsells. Last town hall, I announced that we were rolling out custom upsells. So if you were already setting up early check and late checkout, you can now add anything that you want. Still direct premium only for now. I'm about to talk about that in just a couple of slides, but now you can add basically any product that you want to offer your guests. That might be, in this case, for example, in the screenshot, a heated pool where you charge per night, and that will be calculated automatically for the duration of the booking. So please, if this is something that interests you, try it out, go wild, give us your feedback. Super excited about you using this. And yeah, what's coming soon, right around the corner. So what are we working on? One, we're working on integrating this with rental agreements, or just agreements in general. So for example, if you're renting out equipment, in many cases, like for example, a golf cart or something like that, you probably want the guest to sign some sort of agreement or waiver along with that. And we want to build that in kind of natively into the whole upsell process in the guest portal. So that is something that we want to roll out very soon, along with upsells that need to be approved by you before they're kind of finalized. And that would include stuff like mid-stay cleanings, where if somebody wants an additional cleaning in the middle of their longer stay, they can purchase that, but you have to actually go in and do the final approval for that particular day, because you might need to arrange things, of course, with your cleaners. So look forward to that in the coming couple of weeks. And then looking ahead a little bit further, finally, upsells for all OTAs, including Airbnb, Vrbo, and everything else, including if you wanted to offer upsells to your guests that you have imported through iCal imports. That should be coming sometime in May. So within about a month and a half, you will have the ability to offer upsells to your guests, whatever platform they are coming from. This has been long waited for, requested. We are happy that we're almost ready to ship this to you. We needed to do a lot of things in the background related to kind of our ability to process financial transactions across all platforms, but we're pretty much there now. So look forward to that soon. And now let's talk about AI a little bit. No major features to announce, but I want to do a little bit of recap and some of the things we're focusing on now. So a few town halls ago, that would have been maximum 2 months ago, something like that, I talked about how Suggested AI, our kind of flagship AI feature, has at that point been used over 2 million times. Well, we've already hit 2.5 million times as of this town hall. So it's being used more and more increasingly by our customers. And we keep hearing that's on Facebook, on office hours, in our support chat, that we have an increasing number of customers who have 90% or more of their conversations being handled by AI at this point. That's not going to be the case for everyone, but more and more people have success. And one of the things driving that is the knowledge hub. So we've seen that the more information you're able to provide to the knowledge hub for the AI to use, that might be different policies, that might be guidelines around certain amenities, whatever you can add to the knowledge hub for any given property, it becomes much more likely that the AI will be able to use that and give you a more successful draft. But speaking of Suggest with AI, our focus right now is really about fixing and polishing things that have been on the backlog for both Suggest with AI and Improve with AI. So for Suggest with AI, we're really focusing on language. We hear you. The few of you who have struggled painfully with this, we hear you. It's around the corner, like a proper fix to this issue. Calendar awareness, there are some issues where the AI either thinks that the calendar is open for a particular day when it's not, or the other way around. They think it's closed, but you know it's open. We're trying to really figure out where these issues are coming from. And third, of course, the tone of voice, being able to match much more closely to how you sound as a host. So these are things we're focusing on with Suggested AI, but we're also looking at Improve with AI. And we know that it's kind of being a little bit neglected over the last few months, I want to say. And yeah, we've done a little bit of a pass on that as well. And now it should be much better, again, at kind of maintaining facts and context, as well as its ability to expand any kind of note form that you have there rather than improving a full message, as well as following instructions. So in this example, in the screenshot, if you wanted to have a message that was crafted to say no, but you add this little note to the AI, but make it sound like a pirate. So like, what does that look like? Well, that actually works if you were to try it today. Gabby? There we go. Yeah, it would actually follow your instruction. So it would refuse, but it would write it as a pirate because that is what you asked it to do. So do try it out, have fun. This works. This is fun, but this also means that the Improve with AI functionality, this feature, does listen to you. So you're able to guide it more based on what you write there. Try it out. I think you'll like it. And yeah, just touching on Knowledge Hub again, we rolled out last town hall the ability for you to add manual, so custom entries to the Knowledge Hub. Previously, it was locked basically to one PDF that you upload or your touchscreen integration, but now you can mix and match things. So you can upload multiple PDFs if you have them. Few of you will, but this kind of builds us towards something we're working on later that we will show you. But right now, what's important is if you have something that you don't have in a PDF, or you don't want to edit something and then import that PDF again, what you can simply do now is go into the Knowledge Hub, you click one button, and you can add your custom content and however much of it you want on the spot, just like that. We're working more and more on making this super easy, as well as adding things directly from the inbox that are missing. But this is what I was talking about when I was saying that the more you add to the Knowledge Hub, the better the AI will perform for you. And I think that's all for AI. And now Tim with smart devices.
Thanks, Nick. Hey, everyone. Some device updates for you this week. Starting off with some exciting news on smart locks. So we're making improvements to backup code communications. It's been a long time coming. We know it's a bugbear for a lot of you. We've been working hard to make this feel like a more positive experience. So the first step there is improving the logic on when we detect if the lock code has already been sent. So we know that we do not need to send that backup code com message. So from next week, however you send that smart lock shortcode, we will detect it, and then we will not send the backup code or the code not sent message. So whether that is you send it via a manual message, whether you send it via a scheduled message that has been edited or sent early. Previously, we would still send the automated message in those situations. We no longer will. So that will be live next week. However, there's still more that we can do after that to improve the experience. We don't want to just stop there. So the next step after this logic improvement will be to increase the visibility on when the backup code comms is due to be sent. So you'll be able to see in advance that it's scheduled, and you can send the code yourself from there if needed. And then finally, we also understand that the verbiage of the message may not be to your liking. So when you see that it's scheduled, you'll be able to edit the wording, add your own voice and your own style to it. Moving on to thermostats. So it's been just under 2 months now since we launched thermostats. We focused a lot recently on some quick wins, some improvements, some bug fixes. So on the improvement side, the reservation dashboard now includes thermostats, so you can see the code, the thermostat preset, the dates, all in one place. And then we've also improved the navigation around there, so you can select the guest name and go straight to the inbox thread for that reservation. You can click on the property and go straight to the property details page, just to speed up that back and forth process a little bit. And then we've also improved the logic on what happens when you first connect a thermostat. So now, if the property is unoccupied when you connect the device, we will now always push the thermostat into unoccupied mode straight away, just to make sure there's no energy wastage happening there. And then we've also deployed a couple bug fixes this week. So some users weren't seeing the thermostat tab and settings. You now will. Previously, deleting a thermostat didn't always remove the device completely. It now will. And then finally, there was a bug where the thermostat settings and preset were showing in the operations tab on the device dashboard. That's no longer the case. So that's all from me on devices this week. Lots more to come soon. And then back to Gabby, I believe.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. So join us in 2 weeks for our next town hall on April 2nd. And we also, the next day, have a host and toast in London. So if you find yourself in London, please come and say hi to us. We will now move on to our Q&A portion. And I know we have a hand raised. Definitely, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. The first person will be Bobby. Hi, Bobby. What's your question?
Hey, Gabby. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool. Awesome. Hey, Pierre. So, hey, curious on the Inbox AI. So we're one of the probably unique hosts that host properties in Florida and host properties in Oregon. When we switch on the Inbox AI, I think I know what the issue is, but does the time on the Inbox AI, is that starting based on the time of the guest or on the time of the host?
It is it's based on the time of the property, like
Of the
wherever the property
property.
is based.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that might be a suggestion, I guess, then if there's a possibility to, be able to set a time for the host. Now, of course, there's just a few hours that we'd like to switch that on, but having the ability to switch that on, say it like, if we say, hey, 11 o'clock's our time, And in Oregon, obviously it's 11 o'clock in Florida, but in
That makes
Oregon
sense.
it's 8 o'clock. Having the ability to switch back and forth may be just a suggestion there. But
no, that makes complete sense. Yeah, because like it's meant to work for you around your times, and so
right.
it means where you're at as a person rather than where the property is based. That makes complete sense. Yeah, I'll take a note of that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bob. Okay, next person is Pedram. Hello.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Yes, we can. How are you
Perfect.
doing?
I'm doing very good. Thanks to you guys. Thanks so much for the great work. I have just two quick points. Maybe I don't have so much problem with loading the inbox. I have more problems with loading the calendar sometimes. So this takes a lot of time. So I have, I think, around 25 properties on Hospitable. And sometimes when we have guests, yeah, it takes up to 5, 6, 7, sometimes even 10 seconds. Um, and second point, I have a very specific problem. I'm using Nuki Smart Lock, and I'm using it generates the code based on the number, the mobile number of the guests. And sometimes, only sometimes, not always, but sometimes it doesn't detect a 0 in the mobile number of the guests, and it sends out a Nuki code with a 0, but the Nuki keypad doesn't have a 0, so you cannot, the guest cannot use that code.
No way. It doesn't.
It's a
That's the
very
problem.
specific, it's a very specific problem, but it leads to a huge pain.
I get.
We have
I get it.
almost everything automatized, and then they call us during the night, that they cannot use the code because the keypad doesn't have a 0.
Yeah. Okay. That specific information, I'm sure team is hearing, and we probably want to remove zeros from the phone number. That's a funny one.
You do that. You do remove zeros, but
Okay.
I have like 5 or 10% of the times it doesn't do that for some reason. I
Okay.
don't
So that's a
figure out
bug.
why, but there is some bug is there. I have some examples I can show you.
So you see, we're software people. We integrate with stuff all the time. That's literally our job. It means that if that means the code was created, or even there was a request, that request didn't fail. So because we can send a stupid code with a 0 in it, and that means the API on the other side is probably accepting it or not flat out rejecting it. And while it knows, I mean, the new key people that have built that API probably know very well that there's no 0 on it. That's fine. We can look into it as a bug unless team has something to share extra, which I'm sure you do.
No,
Oh,
nothing extra. I was just going to say that I'll take a look and reach out and we'll find the problem.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. That would be a great relief, yeah.
On the calendar speed, I think that's heard. I'm pretty sure some engineers that are on the call are already looking into your account and finding if they can replicate. But Nick is showing up.
I'll generalize a little bit. I thought Sam might jump
Yeah.
in, but we had a very brief chat earlier today, and I know him and Luke are working on this problem. We hope to speed up the calendar considerably in the coming couple of weeks. Yeah.
I would love you guys for that.
You
Yeah,
love us already.
I would.
If we can fix the zeros in the calendar, we're good. Yeah, just reiterating what Nick said. Yeah, we've got a very specific plan to really solve this problem once and for all. We have a lot of data when it comes to the calendar. There's just a lot of data. It's one of our kind of biggest data stores, and so yeah, we need to do some significant changes to improve that. But yeah, Luke, one of our engineers, he has got a pretty good plan, and he's going to start working on that very, very soon. So we should see some improvements there fairly soon.
All right. Thank you so much for the great work. Yeah, I'm greatly thankful for your guys' work.
Thank you, Peter.
Next up, we have Jason.
Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you may be. Believe it or not, this question, as it traditionally is, this question is not directly about AI. So Pierre, Nick might be appreciative. But that said, it is related to the fact that I don't have access to, and a lot of us don't have access to, the auto respond feature right now, which I totally get. You guys are positioning it inside of Mogul at the moment. But coincidentally, as this product launches into Mogul, I've had 2 instances lately where guests have been locked out in the middle of the night. One of them was their fault. One of them was the fact that the battery died on the lock, and they have not been able to get in touch with me in the middle of the night. So in the interim, while we, those of us, it doesn't make sense for me and likely a lot of others, or some others, to upgrade to Mogul. For me, it's like a triple, like 3 times the cost increase. So I'm looking for, maybe an interim solution to respond to guests in the middle of the night related to, to being locked out or maybe some other emergency. So is there what would you recommend to those of us that can't quite make the leap to Mogul at the moment, as an interim solution for the AI auto respond?
Yeah, I think we touched on this briefly, I think from Andrew in particular, director of product, on basically why we're bringing those over to Mogul at this point. It's basically they are the one paying the most, and so they should have access to, we believe quite strongly, access to the earliest feature as we're developing them. To be clear, I think this feature is like 2 weeks old, and so we're still very early in the development and refining process, whereas we know as well that if we make that available as it is to a certain degree our attention on professional plans, then that basically will mean definitely a much larger usage at this point in time. And therefore we want to make sure we're battle testing and basically making sure it's all on board. It's also easy because the Mogul customers typically have staff, office hours, etc., which typically is not always the case in the industry. Nikita, you wanted to share more on this?
Yep. It really is, building on PC's point, it really is a case of building confidence in like what we have and the ability to scale this out to a lot more customers. Yeah, this is never meant to be a like locked into Mogul kind of only feature. We will bring, if not the entirety of it, then definitely some significant portions of it to other hosts as well. In a likely case is, for example, bringing a locked out like scoped scenario out of like the entire auto reply feature, and just that, for example, as one thing that we're looking at. But yeah, like I hear you. It will reach your account as well in the not too distant future. Like it's not going to be locked away from everyone.
So thanks for adding some color to that. But in the interim, as we wait for that to trickle down and for the product to mature and you guys to polish it up a bit, what would you guys recommend to those of us that don't have access to it at the moment, in terms of using legacy features to address issues like that?
I think to help us mature the product and move to Mogul. That's really what the answer I'm going to give you, because it seems it does have value to you and in terms of peace of mind. So the product is there. It's going to take a bit of time for us to build that confidence. Is it in a matter of months? No. Is it a matter of weeks? Probably more likely, because we are going to be rolling out new features that are going to be again exclusive to Mogul, and that means the chance of bringing them to professional without the plans cannibalizing each other. So it's going to be a matter of weeks. I don't know exactly when we're going to be ready for it, when we're going to be able to bring this to a much greater audience, but that's going to come. And I think I cannot decently recommend you go ahead, jump with another vendor provider, because we're strongly confident about our own product as well. That's basically the thing.
I have no desire to jump to anybody. You guys have been great.
That's fine.
You for 4 or 5 years now.
Tyler had a question as well that he asked in the Q&A that I want to answer live. For those of us who have been with Hospitable for a while, will you be bringing up the new features in Mogul to the legacy subscriptions, for example, like Copilot? Nick, you want to add some color on that? You want me to?
I think you're better positioned to do that.
I'm better positioned. Yeah, that's going to be a hard boundary. we are going to be bringing some occasional features onto legacy plans. The recent example has been rental agreements that is made available to everyone at no extra cost. So let's go again for it. For the AI features like Copilot or
Auto reply.
Auto reply, sorry, that basically is going to stay on, it's going to be distributed on the new pricing tiers. So Host, Professional, and Mogul. Sometimes there are a light version, sometimes there are a more extended version, like something that we want to do for the Auto AI, the Auto reply AI. So there's going to be a breakdown of features within the Mogul plans. We believe strongly that those new tiers are actually, for me, in many cases, cheaper than the existing legacy because we, for example, included 4 devices on the Mogul, 2 devices on Professional. So it's basically if you're using smart devices, smart locks, or the thermostat, it makes good sense to look into migrating to the new plans already. We're going to pack more value on those different plans, so Host, Professional, and Mogul, on upcoming updates, probably towards the end of April. And we think that's going to be an absolute no-brainer for anyone. But yes, we are currently developing this kind of special project. And so that basically is what's going to happen. Legacy will benefit occasional new developments, but to benefit from the recent ones, you will have to position yourself on Host, Professional, or Mogul plans.
Jason, to summarize, no technical solution for you now, but hopefully in 4 weeks or less, you should have access to enough of auto reply to enable this locked out scenario. Yeah.
You guys appreciate it.
Yeah. While I'm here, I want to, because it's related, Jan or Jan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, said in chat, you guests have your cell phone number. That's how my guests contact me after hours. Sure. But some hosts don't want to share their phone number just like that, kind of willy-nilly. And also on some platforms, they discourage kind of platform communication anyway. So that's a solution for some, but not across the board. So,
Okay, thank you.
Next person is Prabha. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I have 2 issues, and I just wanted to see if that's been fixed. So basically, one is the thermostat issue. We basically set the thermostat at in occupied setting to be at 72, but also gave the guest access to make the adjustments. And then we started seeing like they pumped it up all the way to 85. That's where the owner was like trying to reach out to us and be like, what's happening? So did communicate with the client and brought it back to 75, and then we took that option off for them to make the adjustment. But then we set it up for it to be at 70 degrees to the heat and like to cool at like 75. But still we see that thermostat does not set within that range. It shoots up way further even without the guest manipulating the thermostat at home. So we did put in a request for them to figure this out. They said it's going to be escalated. So I just want to see if anybody has fixed that going forward.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'll ask the second thing later. Thanks.
Yeah, so just a quick interjection, kind of the 2 points there. Firstly, in terms of kind of the guest control, there are certain thermostats, I'm not sure if yours is one of them, but they have certain locks on them where you can lock that min-max range. And so if you have that guest control option enabled, that will still respect that lock. So the guest will only be able to move it within that specific range. I think that's the first aspect of this. The second is obviously a bug there. If it just seems to be going up on its own, it could be related to the set points. I don't know if it's been looked at, but I'll go find the ticket now and can provide you with an update offline on that.
Okay, yeah, this is basically the Honeywell Residio thermostat. It did not have any lock points, so that's why we couldn't lock it on how the client would, manage that. So that's why we completely took that off, but still it kept going up. That was my issue there.
Yeah,
We would
makes sense.
appreciate if you can give us a feedback on that. And then the second thing is like I set up one of my properties, I set it up on direct, but is there any marketing aspect of that? Or because like I just want to know if there's anything, any information for us to do something behind, like meta tags and stuff like that? Or is there anybody on your side who help us do that?
Okay, I feel like there's a lot of ways I could answer that question. Um, yeah, so I think a couple things. We are currently running direct booking workshops that can help you if you're getting set up on direct and want to find ways to get more direct bookings. So we can help you with that. I think you might be asking specifically about Google Analytics and meta tags. Is that maybe more of your question, or are you just looking for marketing support in general for direct?
Both.
Okay. Yeah, so we have our direct booking workshops. And then, I mean, beyond that in the product itself, there's not a whole lot we do today to help you with direct bookings marketing. But we'll show you ways in our direct booking workshop to use other tools to kind of help bring your guests to direct bookings. But that is an area of investment for us in the future. So we want to expand our capabilities to help you market your direct bookings to your returning OTA guests and then just like more broadly to all prospective guests. With right now, the way that we're doing that is really through distribution. So we have Google Vacation Rentals. We recently launched our Directo integration. But up for a while to this point, our take on marketing has been like, for direct, we help you with all of the hard things and managing the risk. And then there's still some work that you need to do to help market your direct bookings. We're kind of starting to change our minds there on that. And so, yeah, we can get you some information on setting up a call on direct bookings and marketing your listings. And I think that will probably help you from there, but more to come on the product side for marketing support.
Okay, great. I mean, I don't know where to go and sign up for these workshops. If there's a link or something, you can put that on the chat, or if not, someone can email it to me. I would appreciate that. Yep, thank you. There's also one more quick question. This I heard somewhere in a webinar, I think, that you have some way of marketing or direct listing to a midterm rental platform. So I'm not sure how that would happen, or if there's anything we need to do separately on our side to make that happen. Like to corporate.
Not yet.
Yeah, so not yet. Okay, so I guess that's something coming
that's
later.
a not yet. Midterm rentals basically has different considerations. Right now, we're taking the heavy route on the short-term rentals with lodging taxes and payments, etc. But so that's a bit of a different consideration for midterms. And Abby is basically looking forward to working on that probably around Q2. Everything is Q2 anyway now at this point. But yeah, that's coming up. Derek is appearing on screen. You wanted to share something on the direct workshop, maybe?
I was just going to add on that last specific question. We did have some content that announced the iCal import feature, which does play nice with some of the midterm rental sites, like say Furnished Finder. We don't have a direct integration. It's not on us. It's kind of on them. They don't have really the APIs to do it. However, you can export their iCal link. We now support imported iCals. That is also driven by AI. So it will extract the name, their email address, guest information, and will populate that into the reservation. So you do not have to create and put all that details into a manual reservation. So that may have been what you saw. So if you are on a midterm rental website, be sure to grab those iCal links and import them into the property.
So like on Furnished Finder, grab that iCal link, and how do I import it? Is there any
You got
kind
it. It'll be under properties, and then right there under properties, where the export iCal has always been, you have an import iCal, and I will post the support doc in the chat here as well.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Just one question, Abby, while you hear Anthony, a good friend of the channel, is asking about tracking ability via Google Tag Manager, which would be a big help for Direct. I seem to remember that the Direct team considered it at a point in time. Do you remember what that would have been about? No, is a good answer, if that's okay. I don't want to throw you under the bus.
There is complexity with tracking like session completion because our booking flow is on a separate domain from the direct site. So that's where the complexity was. Um, I I think that's kind of and it's something that we're continuing to look at.
Exactly, because when you book on booking.hospitable.com, so you don't have a completed conversion event then. And then it becomes on our property, which has great benefits, but also, some limitations, I guess, when it comes to that. Funny that we're thinking about domain name work. But that's for another session. Okay, thank you for the questions. Maybe a last one?
Is Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hello, Rich. How can we help you today?
Hi there. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for my call and thanks for everything that you guys are doing. I appreciate it. I had a quick question, two questions actually. I think the first one is quick, hopefully. It's a guest verification issue. I have a returning guest, as someone who's stayed with me before. They've booked directly through VRBO, I believe. And now they booked through VRBO. They now want to book directly through me. So they went to our website and booked directly. And they require a guest verification, even though they've stayed with me, and it's in a pending status. And I really just want to accept them without having to go through the whole guest verification process. Is there any workaround or anything that I could do to get them out of that loop?
Yeah, that's a good question. Abby, good luck.
This is a little bit tough. I think we absolutely recognize that we want to be able to let you bypass guest verification for guests that we recognize as returning guests. There isn't a way to do that right now for this particular guest that you asked about. We do today with custom quotes. So if you had a guest that was returning, that had been verified through our guest verification process. So that's the difference, is this is a Vrbo guest that's now booking direct. We would allow you to bypass that guest verification process if you created a custom quote for your guest. And then for guests that book through your website, we are also working on making it possible that if we recognize them as returning guests, we have them verify themselves as a returning guest through a much lighter weight verification process, a one-time password. But yeah, unfortunately, that does not exist today. So for this particular guest, they would need to go through guest verification, but we recognize that as a pain, and we're working on it.
So that's why
He's a
Sorry,
good
Rich.
vet. He's a good guest, and I hate to put him through this because he's got a lot of reach into stays with us in the future. So I'm just trying to figure out if I could do something, but it doesn't sound like I can.
You can do it through a custom code. So basically you can add them and you can secure the payment and all, but basically that would bypass the guest verification from your website. So that's the thing that you can do today. The thing though is that the guest verification, we're sure they are great guests. That's actually very much a good compelling case of booking direct, is that you have one reservation secured on one booking channel, and then they return. And why would they book on Vrbo or on the OTA? They should be booking directly on your website and save on fees. And there has already been a relationship being built. The challenge is you get to tell that to the insurance company. And as part of Direct Premium, basically, you need to have the verification of the ID so that you can then have the insurance in case of damages and liabilities that basically are going to be on your premises later. So that's the interconnection, and that basically happening. Custom quotes that would not offer you any insurance or any package offering on that type, whereas if they book through the website, there is a certain product that is packaged to your benefit. So our job is really going to be making sure that the ID verification is going to be as smooth and fast as possible. Then we have the right to not reuse the same guest for the same ID, whether they verified with you or whether they verified with another guest with another host, because we already have their ID on file. So there's no point in asking for the same information. And that's something that we'll be able to do after the change of logic with a guest verification side, which really is going to be their ID verification, and then we add other layers on it, like the sexual offenders check, like the payment information, so for example, how many attempts did the guest had to go through to be paying, and we have some which is useful for fraud investigation in particular, and any other risk basically associated with a reservation, so that you can accept this guest for this reservation in confidence.
Yeah, all right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
But it's a problem now that we have returning guests. Nick, you wanted to say something?
No, Rich already saw it. I posted the link to the custom quotes help article. Yeah.
Okay. To custom
Thank
quotes.
you very much. Thanks, guys.
We have the custom codes and we have the custom quotes. That's
Thank
probably
you,
very
Rick.
difficult for me to be saying that in the first place. Sorry, I'm cutting off everyone today.
DC, would you like any closing remarks as we are at time?
Yeah, we're at time. So we had a bit more time for the Q&A this time. Thank you so very much for your questions. We had to rehash a few things on the product update side, but that's because we're preparing for more big things in the next upcoming town halls. And so really excited to be introducing them to you. And yeah, next time, sorry, I'm always saying the same thing, is going to be on the 2nd of April. So just one day after April Fool, so you will know all the updates are real.